And just like that, it's Monday. Somehow we seem to be halfway through July. Hi, everybody. I'm Russ Kane. This is the Midday Show. Sorry if I'm a little bit subdued today, just a little under the weather, shall we say. So, sorry, I just got a message. Anyway, Neil is here. You know him. You love him. And I've got a very interesting subject, something that came up on my timeline today. In depth, that I want to chat to Neil Longie Long.
Good morning, afternoon rather. How are you?
It's a funny thing. I always think of it as morning because the moment you say good afternoon, I feel like the day. I know it is the afternoon, but I always feel like the day's gone. You know what I mean?
Just tiny bit into the afternoon.
Just edging it. How was your? Please don't ask me how my weekend was. Please.
Oh, God, have you not had a good time?
Shocking. How was your weekend?
It was fine. I did some really weird comedy gigs.
I want to hear all about it because
well,
I
what
want
would you do?
I want to live outside of my tiny world at the moment, which consists.
Well, I had a couple of gigs, and one was a fundraiser, put it in water pumps in India, and that's fine. And it was in a pub. And gigs in pubs aren't the best sometimes because not always people are there for comedy. But they had come for the curry and comedy, so there was an audience of a kind.
Curry and is that what it was called, Longie? Curry and comedy. That's good if it was called that.
It is, and it was a very nice curry because I had some. Spicy, but good. Thank you.
Didn't say anything. I didn't say. Sorry, I was doing my Kenny Ball impression.
But yeah, very, very good jazz. But then I went on to another gig, and it was one of these sort of cheap restaurants tacked onto a hotel. Imagine a like a low-grade Premier Inn with Wetherspoons tacked on the side.
I'm going to be honest. I'm trying not to imagine it.
It was kind of like that, and there were all these people there who were just letting their kids run riot, while we're doing a comedy gig. Now, I'm not entirely comfortable in doing my stuff, which would have a 15 rating at least, in front of kids.
Sure.
But if people choose to bring their children in and they know it's comedy, they've had fair warning. It's not like we foisted it on them. People have been told what to expect.
It's so dumb.
It's adult entertainment. So, and then there's little kids like riding around on bikes. Now, if one of them goes riding around on little bikes, only little ones, and if one of them goes into school when they're back, starts singing "I'm jerking 9 to 5" when Dolly Parton comes on the radio, that's going to be my fault. But what can I do? It won't
be your fault. You gave warnings. Maybe these kids can't. Maybe the parents. What were they doing in the hotel? I mean, it's not like a holiday resort, presumably, where you were.
No, it wasn't.
What the bloody hell were they doing there with their kids?
I couldn't.
What's that about?
I couldn't tell you, but I really hate that when people just take their kids in pubs and just let them run riot. You know what I mean?
Here's a question for everybody watching, and it's this. When you're in a restaurant, money is very tight for everybody. Let's be honest. Money is very tight for everyone. When you're in a restaurant, I'm not talking about Wetherspoons, but even Wetherspoons. But if you're in a restaurant and kids are running around and they're ruining your lunch, maybe it's a Sunday lunch or something, what do you do? It's a tricky question. What would you do?
I find a taser quite effective.
I find a baseball club quite effective the way I'm feeling. A taser. Oh, God. No, it's a serious question because the parents are doing sod all and not saying, hey, sit down, stop behaving where you're upsetting other people. They couldn't care less. As long as they're all right, they don't care.
And that was the thing.
Yeah. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Do you go up to the kids and then the parents kick off and you get a smack in the mouth?
Well, no, the kids
are you allowed to go up to Are you allowed to go up to the kids?
No, you wouldn't. It's unprofessional. You would, if the kids came up to you, there's nothing you can do about it.
No. I'm saying not when you're performing. You're just there. You and your girlfriend or whatever. you know, or you're just there with the family and your daughter or something.
Well, I'll be minding my own business. I've got no particular reason to talk to other people's kids. If they come up and say hello, that's different. But
No,
you know what I
But
mean?
if they're really misbehaving, running around and screaming, I mean, how many times have you been somewhere and the kids?
Well, you have a word with the manager or something, don't you? And he thought it was funny to call me a Keith Chegwin tribute act. So I told him to F off.
What?
I said, "Can you guess what I do for a living?"
Chegwin? The hell? What does that even mean?
I don't know.
What
But I think he had some insight that I do radio for a living. The thing is, Russ, you shagged someone once and they follow you everywhere.
This is the bloody problem, mate. So if you ever want to know where Neil's performing, just look for the sheep. Good afternoon, everybody, says Paul Claridge. My weekend was a bit of a mixed affair. My Sunday affair, he died, Gerald Harper, you're too young, I'll come back to that in a second, it was a mixed affair. Last week was quite an emotional week for me and a dear friend, an awful anniversary, which I won't elaborate on. Oh, well, Paul, then you should have kind of raised it then. Now we all want to know what it was. Suffice to say, grief is a strange monster that bites again when we think we've beaten it. Paul, you never defeat grief. You learn to live with it. It's the most important lesson anyone can learn.
And it does bite. I remember my grief journey, and it does. You think, oh, fine, and then suddenly, bang, out of nowhere.
Yeah,
What it can do, Paul, it can bring up all the feelings that we thought you processed. But the way we fool ourselves is we think that we've lost all the progress and all the work, you know, in parentheses, that we've done is for nothing. But that's an illusion. It's not true. You know, what you will probably find is that the grief attacks, for a better word, come less frequently, less intensely, and for less long. And I would wager, and if I'm misreading this, please correct me, but I would say this one was a lot less frequent. I'd say it hadn't been one for a while. And that seems to be the process, and it fades. Less frequent, less intense, less long. That's been my experience with it anyway.
It's, you know, look,
for what it's worth.
I'm going to say this again. I've said it a lot of times. I hope it's helpful, and it's only my personal experience with grief. All right? So I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist.
But you've got experience. We all have.
I'm just a bloke giving you my personal experience. And at first, when grief hits, it is like having imagine it like the worst migraine in the world, or migraine if you prefer, and you want to smash your head against a brick wall just to stop the pain. It's overwhelming. It's impossible. It blocks out anything else. And then eventually grief subsides. So the noise you can hear is my poor dog trying to stand up these days. Yeah. It's like a really bad headache.
Yeah.
Right? And you kind of can function, but you've got this thumping headache. Eventually, grief is like a background hum that you can tune out of. So you can function probably at 99%, probably 100%. But somewhere it's just a background little hum, a little notion. But it's never gone away. It's never died, no pun intended. And people go, well, I don't know why I was triggered. I mean, that's what often people say. I don't know why. Well, you know, it could be a sight. It could be a smell of perfume or aftershave. It could be a tune.
I can help with that. The reason why we're triggered with anything, positive or negative, it works by association. Yeah. We've got two levels of mind, the conscious and the subconscious. Okay. Yes. Conscious mind is really very small. It can only hold about 7 bits of information at once. You know, that's why numbers are grouped in. Yeah, that's why we do phone numbers in It's got a rhythm, we can remember it. You know,
isn't it weird? And Longie, just to support you on that, isn't it weird if somebody reads back your phone number to you, not in the way that you normally give it to
yes,
you go,
very much so. It doesn't sound right.
And
it confuses us. But this is the limits of the conscious mind. It's very, very small and also very overworked because we use it for things which we shouldn't be using it for. This is where mindfulness comes in, because we use it to do when it should be more used for allowing the greater part of our mind, the being. Anyway, But the unconscious is the storehouse of everything. That's how a memory from childhood can flat. You think, my God, what am I thinking of that for? Why did I think at the time that I was in the toilet and my mum came in behind me? I can still remember that. And I've got no idea why, but it just sticks with you. And the unconscious kind of stores it, but we don't think of it all the time, hence unconscious. And if we did, it would overwhelm us. But what happens from time to time is the unconscious doesn't have the critical factor, the thinking, the cognition of the conscious mind. So in other words, stimulus response. It doesn't stop and think. That's the conscious mind's job. All right. So if something comes up that looks like it, smells like it, reminds you of it, suddenly it can all come up again. Like a car backfiring would possibly trigger PTSD, that someone's been in a battlefield situation or something like that. But the good thing is it can come up and be processed. And sometimes it does need to come up and be processed, and that's part of healing. And there's all sorts of treatments like havening, which you can look up, which help process when these emotions and feelings come up. You don't have to be plagued with them forever. There are healing treatments now which are fast, effective, and pretty painless as well.
Dave, Dave Sleet up in, I don't know if he's in London or up in Fife in Scotland at the moment. Hello, Dave. I'm sorry we haven't been able to get together. One day I'll explain why. And Dave says this, and I don't often disagree with him, but I do disagree with him. Grief is you see, it's lovely words and it sounds great. And I'm not knocking Dave for this at all, because I admire him very much. But grief is a transition to a new means of connection to a loved one. It's not. It just hurts.
Well, although could it be that we're all different and we all process things? Maybe that's the way it is for Dave. And maybe for you, it's different. And I think that our value can be to each other to say, yeah, this was my experience. I found this helpful for what it's worth.
Right.
It might be helpful. It might not be. That's beautiful. That's philosophical. Transition. It's a little spiritual. It's nice. And if that is what Dave makes it easier and softer for you,
you've got to use.
There is no right or wrong. No one has got the right
absolutely right.
How they should and shouldn't be grieving. That's and you know, you get people who think they know everything and they want to put in their opinion, and really sometimes you just want them to shut up. But you know, by all means share. By all means, you know, I know writing my story, doing some bibliography work for me, which is eventually why you invited me on the Midday show. Yeah, you read my Facebook blog.
Yes, I did.
You invited
me on.
Very
impressed because I thought they were very touching and they were very real.
Well, they were. I was getting it all out, getting it all out, and it felt good to do. Bibliography, they use that as a form of therapy. It can be cathartic. There's many ways, but we might use different things at different times. The most promising one at the moment, which is havening, because that actually
go on, explain it, because people need help. Go on. I know you've done it before, but let's do it again. Why not?
Havening is based, you can read about it in all Paul McKenna's books. There was a doctor called Dr. Ronald Rudin, that's it, who saw the limits of the paradigm he was operating in, like the general practitioner, like your high street doctor sort of thing. Yes, they're wonderful. Yes, we need them, but it's not the whole enchilada. There was a lot more. And it seemed to be either that or these weird kind of new age things which people don't really believe in and don't really work. You know what I mean? I'm gonna pray it away. I'm gonna ask my angels, all that sort of thing.
These
and people are rightly
nonsense, and I'm sorry.
And people are right to be leery of it. But again, if it helps you and if you believe that, why not? If affirmations help you, use them. Yeah. If talking to your angels,
I've learned that from you.
You know, why not?
I learned that from you.
You know. Now, havening, right, geeky bit. Our brains, they're like I don't know if you remember when we did those science experiments at school, and the teacher would get out those two kind of orbs on sticks, and an electrical spark would jump from one to another.
It was kind of like then they'd bring out the Van de Graaff generator and everyone was excited.
Right. So you remember that? You remember that with the spark jumping?
Yeah, sure.
Our brain, it is quite amazing when you see it. If you look at a thought, and there's things on YouTube where you can see it, and it's basically a spark jumping from one neural dot, if you like, to another. Wow. And And what carries that spark are the neurotransmitters. They transmit them: serotonin, dopamine, anandamide, testosterone, oxytocin.
What was that?
You know,
Amanda who?
anandamide. It means
What is
bliss.
that? I know the other. It's
It's
bliss.
a bliss. Anandamide is a bliss
God, I could do
hormone.
with some of that, boy. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, you've
I
got your
need
own
that.
internal pharmacy, but anandamide is a bliss hormone. Ananda is a Sanskrit spiritual word for bliss in a spiritual sense. So this hormone's been named after it, anandamide, this neurotransmitter rather. Anyway, so what's meant to happen, this is where it gets a bit tricky, so pay attention, folks, is the neurotransmitter is meant to jump from one to the other, okay? And it jumps, this one reuptakes it, passes it on, yeah? And then goes on to the next one, jumps like the electric spark, takes it, passes it on. When there's trauma or something that holds us, fight, flight, freeze, for example, this gets left open. So it can't be reuptaken, all right? Because there's a molecule, I think, of potassium stuck in this tiny neural pathway. And that's what McKenna was finding, that he could do this brilliant NLP and these brilliant algorithms to change how people saw things, to change how people experience things. But there was still one level he couldn't go. And the reason why is there was nothing wrong with his mental algorithms, not at all. But it wasn't going deep enough because this was actually physical and it's something stuck. It's a molecule of potassium stuck in the neural pathway. The door is effectively jammed open. So how we experience that is whenever there's a trigger, even something related like we were just talking about, the symptoms will come up just as raw and fresh as they were when it first happened.
Yeah.
And that's how post-traumatic stress disorder works.
Yes.
What havening does, based on the word safe haven, is how a mother comforts a child. You see, mothers will comfort children like this. First of all, it changes the frequency of our brains. We make delta waves, which are slower.
Really?
Sharp beta waves, yes. Okay. So it changes the brain frequency. And also, most importantly, it removes the block. So in other words, it can be reuptaken and the flow can start again. All right? It clears that neural pathway. Hold on, nearly finished.
No. Am I doing this right?
I'll tell you in a sec, but I'm nearly done now. Hold on, bear with me. So when the trigger comes this time, it wouldn't be that awful agony of it raw and fresh as first time. It would feel no more emotionally difficult than shall I have chicken pie for dinner or baked beans on toast? A really neutral thought like that.
Wow.
And they've used this on people that have been in battlefield situations, seen the most hideous things, children being blown to pieces, awful things. But and I'm not saying someone's trauma is worse than yours. Trauma is trauma.
Trauma is trauma.
No trauma is good. But they dealt with this case of really extreme trauma within an hour. And that would take months, years with previous therapies. So havening, if you're bothered by things that keep coming up or something you want to clear, I really recommend buying a McKenna book. It's in about 3 of his books. Private message me, I'll send you the link to it. Or Google havening. Don't take my word for it. Please do your due diligence. I'm not here. I don't want you to think I'm sort of spouting stuff. I'm not medically trained. I'm just a signposter. But it really is worth it. Paul, I'd also say if you have an animal, a cat or a dog, spend time with them, especially dogs. Yeah, it's proven that petting, hugging, or even walking a dog helps improve our mood, lift our spirits, and generally make us feel better.
Sadly,
because we're giving love, and when we're giving love, we're not blocked. And that's
I can't walk Ebony anymore. She's just too frail, which is a great part of my life, which is very sad.
I'm sorry.
She just wanders around. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing, to be perfectly honest. But she's living her life on her terms, and that's what else are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? I think it's a lovely thing. It's there were some comments that came in. I'm sorry if I'm a bit slow today. Just bear with me. Dave Sleep.
And yes, you are doing it right. You just
that was what I was asking.
Elbows from shoulders to elbows, and just
to elbows.
Yeah, slowly. You're essentially self-comforting, and it will change your brainwave. Okay. And sometimes what they do, they use eye movements. They say, follow my finger. And it's because we access different regions of our brain with our eyes. And you can see it in NLP, if someone's thinking of a picture, they tend to look up to the right. And that's how an NLP practitioner will know how you're thinking, whether you're thinking in pictures or sounds or feelings. It all depends on your eye movements. And we access different. And if you watch a quiz show, if you watch Eggheads, right, I'm going to come right up to the camera so you can see my eyes. If they ask a question that you can see their eyes going around like that. Have you ever seen that on a quiz show?
Yeah.
Can you see what I'm doing there? Was that close enough? Yeah. And what they're looking, is it there? No. Is it there? No. Is it there? No. Is it there? No.
What they're doing.
Yes, they're accessing different parts of the brain. So when the teacher at school went, the answer's not on the ceiling, actually, it might have been.
Hang on. I gotta dig a bit deeper in that. I just thought they're going to,
I'll tell you what, if you want to hold it for about 3 minutes, so to speak, I'll go and find the NLP eye movements video.
I've done my bloody best to hold it for 3 minutes. It's the way I'm feeling. Right, carry on.
All right, I'll jump out. I'll see if I can find it. It's quite interesting.
All right, Wojciech. I'm going to change the subject, but that's why I love doing the show on a Monday with Neil, because he is so blooming smart. Right. Now, this came up. Oh, you're back. Oh, he's gone. But I like it because I don't read those books and stuff like that. You know what I'm reading at the moment? And before I get onto my subject, I started to read the early works of Agatha Christie because I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan. And the stuff I'm reading now of hers is 1924. And it dawned on me. I mean, my God, that's 101 years ago. So I suppose when I was a kid in the early 60s, right, at school, 100 years ago, think about that, was like the 1860s. Dickens sort of era. It never occurred to me that Agatha Christie, because she was such a prolific writer and basically set the benchmark for everybody else. And I'm reading these short stories from 1924, which were published in various magazines, none of which, of course, have existed for decades. And yeah, they're of its time. They're of their time, but you can just see such a talented, clever way. Right. I want to talk about this. You can't see it. I'm going to have to look at it. And this has just been released. It's from the Daily Telegraph. And here's the headlines. Are you ready? Hold on to your hats, everyone. We could have stopped Greg Wallace sooner, BBC admits. Shall I run that one by you again? We could have stopped Greg Wallace sooner, BBC admits, right? So I thought, BBC, absolutely. I don't know what that is. I'm not taking that. The BBC has admitted it could have done more to stop Greg Wallace as an official report upheld, ready? 45 allegations against the MasterChef presenter. 45. What is it with the BBC? What is it with them? The report found there was no consolidated this is their excuse. It's the BBC, which costs us 175 quid a year, right? No choice. The BBC found there was no consolidated or centrally held information within the BBC. What a bunch of numpties about Wallace complaints, resulting in issues being addressed as a first offence. So the BBC's line, it would seem, is, we don't have a complaints department. So every time it came in, it was like there'd been nothing before. Wallace was found to have made, I'm reading this, when I read it this morning, I thought, you got to be kidding me, right? Wallace was found to have made dozens of sexually explicit, sexualized, racist, and inappropriate comments during his years on the show, as well as 3 incidents of being in a state of undress. One allegation of unwanted physical contact was also substantiated. It goes on. The report heard 83 allegations against Greg Wallace from 41 different complainants, all relating to his time on MasterChef, most related to inappropriate sexual language and humour. 6 of the complaints were raised with the BBC at the time. And the BBC, always late to anything, goes, this behaviour falls below the values of the BBC. We know what your values are, mate. The sooner you're defunded, the better. This behaviour falls below the values of the BBC and the expectations we have for anyone who works with us or for us. It goes on. It's shocking. It's shocking. Sorry, I was reading all of that. I could go on about it. It's like, what the hell? I never liked him as a presenter. It wasn't my cup of tea. I know why he was there. I totally understand. And he said this, and I can see it. They wanted your geezer. You wanted your ordinary geezer, your grocer in there.
But you can be a cheeky chappy,
yes.
Because I do it when I've got, I stress banter rights, what I call, with females. If I know someone well enough,
if you know them what I mean? Well enough,
then for example, on Air and Radio Jackie, I've got a wonderful relationship with Nikki Patrick, my co-presenter.
Yes.
I call her my radio wife, and we can say anything to each other. We're like on air. We're like an old couple that just bicker and make each other miserable.
Yeah,
and that's how we've been for ages, and it's fun. And when the mics are down, I'll say outrageous things, and she will say it to me. But we know each other well enough. No one ever has gone home feeling uncomfortable. Now we've got a younger girl in the office, a brilliantly talented DJ and presenter called Chloe. You met Chloe, haven't you, Chloe?
I have. I think at your home.
And she's brilliant. And I've got a level of banter with her, but I know where to draw the line. I wouldn't make a
different level. It's a different level, is what you're saying.
And yes, of course, you can have cheeky, chappy banter. We've had tits and bums humour ever since human beings have known what tits and bums are. It's not a big deal. But as long as everyone's in on the joke, it's banter. If they're not, then you're not reading your audience very well. And if you're doing it on purpose, that's bullying. And that's the difference for me.
Or sexual harassment.
There's sexual harassment, yeah.
There's bullying and there's sexual harassment. There's also people who, if the wind changes to, you've got to put occasionally the other side of the coin and be grown up about it. There's also people, if the wind changes direction, have a nervous breakdown and try to blame you. There's always that. But most women of a certain age, in fact, every woman I know of a certain age has been harassed at work. Every single one.
Yes.
And most of them, because my friends are feisty.
My girlfriend's in the background. She's we could get her on, get her opinion if you like. No, I just want to come on.
But yeah, she's fairly quickly.
She's nothing.
Yeah, she doesn't want to do it. What I was going to say is most people of a certain age who've lived a life just say, either I was going to just kick him in the nuts or tell him to F off. And
this is the attitude. This is the attitude of a lot of women. Something's changed. And let me precede this by saying I'm completely on the side of anyone that's been harassed or
completely 100%
or assaulted or anything like
100%.
That. 100%. That's not acceptable. Consent is key. End of. However, you're right. Back in those days, probably because there wasn't anyone you could go to, it is just a swift kick in the bollocks and tell them to piss off.
And tell them to piss off. And if you do it again, I'll phone your wife.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Nowadays, it seems it's gone sort of so far that sometimes things can be misinterpreted. I suppose it could be just a bloke making a joke from the time period he was brought up in. Yeah. Didn't know his audience, wasn't really thinking. And I'd find that hard to class as harassment if he was called out and he went, "Oh yeah, sorry," you know what I mean? But it's a difficult one. What am I trying to say here? I think since the Me Too movement, I think that brought to our attention just the magnitude of this problem and the people at the centre of that. I remember one she was a Hollywood actress who had her career ruined by a name that we all know, which I won't give airtime to. And then on top of that, slut shamed. Now I hate that term. She was wearing a short skirt. She wanted it. That kind of awful.
Yeah, but that's the logic of a maniac, isn't it?
And so not only was she assaulted, but they tried to blame her and make it her fault and gaslight her.
I would say one thing about
she was doing this speech, and just one sec, sorry, and she was furious. And I don't blame her.
She
I was
did what?
furious for her.
Oh, she was furious. Yes. Of the Me Too movement when it came out in Hollywood, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole because we'll be here for the next few hours, which I won't make. Some of the people who came forward, really, if you knew the backgrounds, I'm not excusing it. Be clear.
Well, this is the thing.
Please, please
casting
be clear. I am not excusing it. I'm not
No, I know
saying
you're
it's
not.
okay.
And
It's
neither am
disgusting. It's disgusting. But you know, some of the people who came forward, and don't forget, I've got a friend who is a Hollywood producer, was there, not like you and I chatting about it, was there. And some of these were appalling. They're terrible people. And in fact, nobody comes out covered in glory. Was it acceptable? No, it was not acceptable. Just look at this for a second, because we're not in that industry, Longie. And most of our chums watching all over the world, they're not in that industry. Logic would dictate, if you get a phone call, come to my suite at 2 a.m, I want to discuss the script. Now, for those of us normal civilians, you'd go, the fuck is he phoning me at 2 o'clock in the bloody morning? I'm not are you insane? I'm upset if anybody phones sort of after 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. I assume someone's dead. Someone phones me. If my phone goes after 9 o'clock, I assume someone's dead. Right. So there is that. But if you're working where it is often the way that meetings are held at ridiculous times, you say it's different. You know, it's different. It's not a 9 to 5 job. Yeah. Is it a smart thing to go to someone's suite? How many A-list actresses are there? Very few. I'm talking about A-list. I'm not talking about people who make up all the, Amazon and Netflix movies. I'm talking about A-list actresses. Very, very few, right? How many people want to be A-list actresses? The Greyhound bus keeps coming into LA day after day after day after day, bringing in wannabes and hopefuls, right? It's a horrible world. It's a horrible world. Trust me, it's way worse than we think. It's disgusting. And people would do anything to get ahead in that business. You know, it's not like they're in an ad agency or they're working in a doctor's office or that.
So you're saying they would.
Are
you saying that people would piggyback on the Me Too movement for personal gain?
Some did.
Yeah. And that's.
But let me be clear. I do not want this misunderstood. It was disgusting. It was disgraceful. It should never have happened. Let's be grown. Let's be grown up. We're all over 21 watching this show. Unlike some of the parents who brought their children into your show in the hotel, idiots. We're all over 21, right? The casting couch, as revolting and disgusting and despicable as it is to right-thinking people, has been in existence since movies began. Since it began. It's never been different. There's always been the casting couch culture. And when you look at some of the huge stars of the golden era of Hollywood, the 40s and 50s, 30s, 40s and 50s, oh my God. You know how they got their jobs. I'm not saying the films weren't great, but is it acceptable? No. Is it revolting? Yes. Horrible.
Yes. But let's not confuse. But let's not also confuse genuine banter with bullying. If everyone's in on the joke and everyone's happy and consenting, no foul.
Absolutely. When you and I were at
and it might sound distasteful, but and I'm not saying this has happened, it might have, probably has. But if a Hollywood actress wants to sleep with someone to get a role in a film and it's consensual, there's no foul.
Well,
but it's when there's the manipulation.
That's up to them,
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might think it's a bit morally questionable, but
I guess their attitude, Longie, is, well, if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it, and I want this role. I don't know. I've never been in that situation. But
no one's ever offered me to sleep with them to get a role. I can't see that happening today.
I'm very even in Greg's.
Yeah, I don't think my D-list status. I don't think I'd even get a cheese
I think
roll.
you should go to the front of the queue in Greg's. It's not only the BBC. This is from Paul Claridge. Other media organisations are equally complicit. It seems the number one priority is to protect the talent. Oh, well, it's a cash cow, Paul. It's a cash cow. It only comes down to money. You do know that. It's only about money.
And hang on a minute, Paul. You're saying basically they were to blame. That's terrible. So how is she to blame?
Just by breathing.
What did she
just by
do
breathing.
To
by breathing. By being.
Oh,
there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I wish women wouldn't breathe so erotically. I just can't control myself. For fuck's sake.
It's shocking. My wife was egregiously harassed by a former employee in Edmonton, Alberta, which is Canada. The level of his harassment involves suggest. Wow. Jesus. Yeah. Was he done for it? Asa?
And should end up in court. And here we have on the other side of the debate, Leslie, I recall the banter between posties working in Peckham in the 70s. Mate, you should hear police banter. I've done police gigs.
Oh,
yeah. They know how to party, put it that way. But you need that outlet. The wokes would faint, but everyone knew the boundaries. That's the thing. If it's acceptable, I can banter with builders as well as any of them. But again, it's all consensual. It's not. No one's getting hurt, and that's the point. But
look, it's also when everybody is in on the same thing. You set your own boundaries. Now, when we worked at Capital, apart from certain situations, which I'm not going to go down because I'm feeling rough enough as it is, but we're not going to go down those. It was just huge fun. And everybody took the piss out of everybody else. We were a family.
And that's different because the boundaries were set. But I don't remember anyone being sexually harassed at Capital.
No, there was none of that. All right, I've been doing this since 1984. I'm not going to name the name. One person who then went on to be a big shot at the BBC. One person was very difficult, not in a sexual harassment way, just jealous and horrible. And I was told by someone I know well from the transfer to the BBC that this particular person not just propositioned her, but in a very, very unpleasant way. And she, to her credit, dealt with it instead of collapsing like a soggy souffle, said, your fiance's up there, and if you don't F off in the next 2 seconds, I'm walking straight up to her. And you never tried it again.
Exactly.
So you can, if you're strong enough, if push back. But it's totally unacceptable.
But sometimes you do need to have people on your side because these people make it feel like it's your fault. The very fact that the word Paul used the word blame, that's as bad as the 80s. She was wearing a short skirt. She wanted it. And that angered me back then. I was only a teenager in the 80s. But even then, that angered me, and it still does now.
I tell you where I do draw the line on that line of logic. And you're right. You can wear what the hell you like. You do not have open permission to then go and sexually assault someone because they're wearing a saucy outfit or a brief outfit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I sometimes wear my mankini and nobody assaults me. I want them to, but they don't.
Well, they leave you alone in Tesco's, mate. They know you know. What I was going to say is this. When you turn up, this might sound very fuddy-duddy, but I really don't give a shit where I am at the moment, is this. If you turn up on the red carpet at some film premiere or the Met Gala or something, and you're wearing 2 bits of dental floss and half a cotton bud to cover yourself up as a woman, and then the next week you're on some late night chat show going, I hate being objectified for my body, I just go, shut up.
Well, yeah,
you turned up looking like a $10 hooker. Look at me, 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 look at me. And then you have the sheer audacity to say you object to being objectified. That's just rubbish.
But I've had this debate. I've talked very openly with my daughter about this because she's made the point that I've never had to walk home with my car keys between my fingers or pretending I'm
Precisely.
talking on the phone because I feel unsafe. And it angers me that my kind, if you like, men would do that. And what brought it really home to me was having a daughter. It's not that I didn't care about it before, but it brought it slamming home when, having a wonderful daughter like Ashley. And
she's charming because I've met her. She's lovely.
She's an amazing girl. I'm probably taking her out for lunch this week. I hope so anyway.
As well.
But we had a long debate about it, and she got quite cross, and I understand why, and rightly. She said, why should we have to take responsibility for what other people are doing? Why should it be on us? Why can't we walk down the street safely? It's them that needs to take control of themselves. It's them that needs to learn to be responsible. It's not us. And she's right. And I said, but I think, darling, it's the lesser of two evils. Yes, we live in a world where, unfortunately, that does happen. And if it's the choice, if the only choice is do what you want and get attacked, or adjust your behavior and not, even when you shouldn't have to, and you shouldn't, I'd say that's the lesser of two evils, personally, as a dad. Wouldn't you?
It's when you
should she have to do it? Hell no.
Because of the situation. So we both live in London, right? And because of the situation, let's just read this because Aza's thing about his wife was horrible. Indeed, the judge expressed he was appalled by this fellow's behavior and his judgment was in my wife's favor. By the way, my wife dresses conservatively. So I guess I'm shoving my nose in where I shouldn't, Asa Don Brown in northeastern United States of America. But, was he fired or was there a financial penalty or was dismissed or how did this end? I'm just curious.
So we're talking about NLP eye movements earlier on.
Do that. Let's come on to that.
Before we do that, one thing that's very good at dealing with subjects like this, I find, is satire. And we might have written a bit of a song about Greg Wallace.
Oh, I did. I genuinely didn't know that. Neil didn't know that I was going to bring the subject up.
And I wondered if you just might like to see a little bit of it.
Okie dokie.
Are you letting your towel drop down to the floor? When a female writer knocks upon your door, did you make an innuendo? Did the penny finally drop? Will the digs on social media finally stop? So here it's Greg Wallace Christmas. It was just a bit of fun, offending women of a certain class whose menopause has just begun.
You can see the rest of that on my YouTube channel.
That's very clever.
Thank you.
That's very, 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 very clever.
Thank you.
That's very good. You see, the thing is, in most instances, I will side on people who go, well, you can't keep being offended by everything in the world. Just grow up a little bit. But it's never acceptable to be undressed in public. Never acceptable. This is nonsense. I've done television and events and all this, that, and the other over the years.
What about nudist beaches?
Never acceptable.
Are you serious?
No, of course. If you want to go to a nudist beach, go to it. That's it. The clue's in the name of the place. It's the nudist beach. People are going to have their clothes off. Why they want to do it? Who the hell knows? Good luck to you, but it's not for me. But what I'm saying is, in an environment of a television studio, or radio, or whatever it is never acceptable to be undressed. It's a nonsense. And any of you who've done theatre, somebody knocks on the door to your dressing room, right? And you spend what am I doing here? Caught up with my wires. You spend a lot of time, hanging about between shows, and you might be in a dressing gown or a bathrobe or something. You make sure you're covered up. You don't open the door naked or just wearing a sock. It's not funny. It's offensive. It is offensive.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's offensive.
No, I know what you mean.
And it's more trouble to do that than put a dressing gown on and answer the door. I mean, come on. You know, I did. You always have a choice. You have a choice.
Yeah,
How
I
you
agree with
decide.
you. I agree with you, Dave, as well. That satire and gallows humour.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
It is healthy. I think so, because the things that people say in comedy clubs, the things that people get up and say, you can't do it in polite society.
No.
And frankly, I get a bit of a buzz of getting up there and singing about the most inappropriate filth. And I think it's funny. But so what? It's a joke. It doesn't harm anyone. It's just a parody song, you know. And without it, and Dave makes a wise point here, beware those that seek to prevent it. Yeah, why? Because what it does, it shines a light on some quite uncomfortable corners and then gives people a release of laughter. And that's a good thing. But why don't they want the light shone on those corners? I wonder why. What are they trying to hide?
It's
And humor's replaced by anger. Should we do IQs?
yes, but I want to put this back because Aza's come out with his reply.
Oh, I'm sorry, Asa.
Unfortunately, he was the owner of the corporation. Oh, bugger. He also tried withholding my wife's last pay. Of course he did. He was forced to repay my wife. He was reprimanded by the judge, and there were other financial stipulations. Good.
That sounds fair.
What a jerk. I'm so sorry that Mrs. Brown had to go through it.
And also, I feel quite strongly that, you know, women in the workplace, and I've worked with some wonderful women over the year. Do you remember Martina at Capitol? What a wonderful.
Kidding? She was fabulous.
She was, what an
Great
amazing. I'll never forget when one of the DJs had all his CDs nicked, which is an awful thing for a DJ, and it was CDs and records back then. And she offered to replace them. You know, she said, we'll pay for that. What a wonderful thing. And she was just such a wonderful woman in management. I remember her. And now later on in my life, I meet a load of, you know, female comedians, and they're brilliant and they're really funny. This whole thing, girls aren't funny. Not true. Some girls aren't. Some are. Some are bloody funny. Some men aren't funny. Some are.
Yes, it's a ridiculous thing that women can't be comedians. Really, Joan Rivers.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
Joan Rivers. I'll leave it like that.
Yeah, Molly Moll, Siobhan Dodd. So many I could name.
Charmaine Davis. I do think. All right, I don't like it when they think we've got to be more. Sounds very old-fashioned. We've got to be more blokey than a man. So every other word
this was
is
a thing back in the 90s.
I really don't like that.
No, I noticed a lot of girls using shock factor because there was a big sexism back there. There was that idea that, you know, women aren't funny. So they would get on stage and drop the C-bomb as a shock factor, which was a shame. But I can understand why they were doing it. But I've seen some fantastic.
But it's not funny. The thing about comedy,
you can understand why they're doing it though, because they're trying.
No, look. I get it.
Wasn't level, you know.
I get that. But if you're a comedian, your job is to be funny. In other words, people have paid money to go and see you.
To be fair, these were open mic nights. They were still learning.
The principle's still, Longie, the principle's, whether you've actually physically paid for a ticket or you've gone into an open mic night, the principle remains exactly the same. You're there to entertain and be funny.
True, but you are still learning, which is what open mic nights are for.
I'm talking about a lot of the stuff that I've seen on YouTube, etc., which weren't open mic nights. They were getting slots, and it's like, really?
Oh no! If it's a pro gig, I'll bring my A game. I won't.
There you go.
On a pro gig. No.
There we go. Look at this. I loved my time in hospitality in Leicester Square, and our link with Capital Radio 30 years ago. Everything's a long time. Everything.
Yeah.
Oh wow! What's this? If my wife hears swearing, she turns TV off. How have I? Does she really?
Goodness me. Yeah, some people don't like it. It doesn't bother me so much.
I don't care.
Again, if you're not swearing at someone, it's different. Sometimes a good swear is very therapeutic.
If it's, put it this way, if it's used as sort of punctuation, all right, so the words have no impact, fair enough. Because a lot of people speak like that. I've got a potty mouth myself. A lot
But
of people
look at
do
Billy
speak like that.
Connolly when he's. I mean, that's in context, and in context, it can be very, very funny
because it pushes the gag. It pushes the gag. But
Mm.
if it's lazy writing, oh, sweetheart, are you okay? I'm so sorry. She's so old and frail.
Oh.
Just
How old
walking.
is she?
16 now.
Oh.
Do you want to come and say hello to everybody? You're going to walk away. No, she's going to walk away. If it's just lazy writing, and you're just using the F word every every single line of dialogue, which I watched some movie the other day, and I thought the plot's not bad. You don't need this. It's laziness. It's just laziness.
Although I think of like a Guy Ritchie movie when you do need it because it's in context. It's for me. It's
Because
all
it
about
makes it ridiculous. Yes,
just people saying I blanket don't like swearing. For me personally, no offense, that's not nuanced enough. For me, it's about context. But I completely agree with you on the lazy writing stuff. Plus, some people think it's aggressive, and I can understand that, but it's not always aggressive. Should we do IQs because we're running out of time?
Please. Come on, I want you to do it.
So in NLP, context is the key, Dave. Always.
Absolutely, Dave
everything
Sleet.
is
100%.
everything
Right.
is it right to drive at 150 miles an hour? Well, if you're trying to win the Indy 500, possibly. You're going to the local Tesco's, possibly not.
Probably
It's
not.
context, right? Anyway,
Good point.
in NLP, I'll take my glasses off. There's IQs. We keep certain information in certain quadrants of our brain, if you like, which is a physicalized version of the non-physical aspect of us, which is mind, like thoughts and stuff like that, energy. And people tend to keep pictures in the top quadrant, sounds side to side. And if it's a picture you've seen before, you'll tend to look up to the right. And if it's a picture you're making up, you'll tend to look up the other way. You're accessing pictures, but imagination. So you've got visual remembered, visual imagination. You've got auditory remembered, like a sound you've heard before, auditory imagination. And then the other two, kinesthetic, which is feeling, from the Greek kinos, and AD, which is logical mind. So depending on the kind of conversation, and some people, to make it even more confusing, are reversed. So you have to calibrate them. But if you watch their eyes, and yes, the police do know about this, but I don't think it would stand up in court. But anyway, watch this. Oh, by the way, I should say we don't. This is not our video. We full credit to the video owner.
Okay, can you tell me the colour of your front door where you grew up when you were small?
White.
What would the front door look like if it was covered in graffiti?
Look at mess.
What does your mother's voice sound like?
Soft.
What would her voice sound like if she had a witch's voice?
She'd sound like grot bags.
And if you were walking along the beach, you had no socks on, walking in the sand, what would that feel like?
Feeling.
It would feel cold and wet.
And can you recite for me the 13 times table, just in your mind, not out loud, just in your mind?
Logical mind.
That's great. Thank you. That's brilliant. Thank you.
So there
That's
we go.
beautifully explained.
Mm.
That is beautifully explained.
So watch where people's eyes go.
They do that in interviews, don't they? They do that in police interviews and stuff like that.
Well, I don't think it would stand up in court.
It doesn't stand up in court, but it's an indicator to the people who are doing the interviewing that they're dealing with someone who's just talking utter. What does this say?
I'm only at practitioner level, Dr. Acer. I wouldn't say I'm at the level to host a conference. That wouldn't really be my thing. It's NLP is something I pull out for interesting conversations like this, or to help people with it if I need to, as and when. I'll whip out my NLP whenever needed. But I wouldn't say I'm at the level of hosting a conference. I'd say you are, sir.
Just a bit. You bet he is. Well, Asia would be fantastic.
Mm.
Let's dash up to Scotland. Fife on the coast, beautiful part of the world. I was taught swearing was a sign of a lack of English education. I use other words which flummox the hearer. Very good, sir.
Flummox is a good word.
You see, it's funny. You know, we're talking about comedians. I'm not saying whether she's nice or not nice. I don't know. I've lost the comment now. But somebody said, I remember that Joe Brand started as a shock comedian, and she might be the nicest person in the world. I don't know. I have never found her even vaguely amusing at all. Not because she's Joe Brand. The material, talking about the material,
Yeah.
just isn't funny. To me, doesn't mean it's not funny.
No,
It means
I think
I
she's a
don't find
talented
it
woman. I appreciate what she does. Do I find her particularly funny? No. But comedy is subjective. Do you know what I mean?
completely subjective. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
If
and
you find it funny, it's funny. If you don't
exactly.
find
And
it
again,
funny, it's
there's
not.
no right or wrong. We enjoy who we enjoy. I like Ricky Gervais. I like Frankie Boyle. People would really disagree with me on that. Leslie may not stand up in court, but the police might get to question the suspect. Yeah, it's useful in police interviews. If the police can calibrate, and it's not hard to teach someone how to calibrate, you just ask them a question where you know it's a picture they've seen before and watch where their eyes go. Simple as that. And then you'll know if they go that way, that's where they keep the visual memories. And that way is where the made up ones. And if they go that way, that's the visual one. So it'll all be reversed. That's all. It's as simple as that. So they might use it to press a bit further. If the IQs are incongruent, is the word they'd use in NLP. It's incongruency.
Incongruent, meaning that what you're saying is not matching what your eyes are revealing. Is that basically, I got it?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if they ask a question where it's a picture that they've heard before, sorry, it's mixing senses, a picture they've seen before, and you know that's where they keep it up there, but they keep going up there. But then again, it could be innocent because they could be just adding bits to the picture in an innocent way to try and give a good answer to the police because they're trying to be helpful. And that's why it's not, it doesn't necessarily mean, it's not like innocent guilty. It's a lot more nuanced than that.
It's more, it is more subtle. NLP is absolutely fascinating, isn't it? Just fascinating. Hang on, what does Dave have to say? And that, gentleman, Mars comment, explains a lot of me upsetting teachers for use of words they don't understand. Thanks, Sue Sleet, of course, being Dave Sleet's mum. And that, gentleman, Mars comment, explains a lot of me getting words they don't understand.
I like this from Larry. What if someone was cross-eyed? Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Hello, Larry.
There's other cues as well. If you're really good at it, I'm not this good, but there's other cues as well, like the way people are breathing. Also, you can tell if they breathe from their shoulders, they tend to be more of a visual person. If they breathe deeper, more from the diaphragm, they tend to be more kinesthetic. There's other ways of reading these cues for people that are.
Sue Sleet. My God, did you see that comment? Hang on, we've got to go back to that. Oh, where's it gone? Come on.
Sorry, we're both doing it. You do it.
Right. I used to watch eye movement when holding interviews in child abuse interviews. Oh my God, Sue, what a job. Have used it in describing interviews in family. Gosh.
Well, yeah, because
Sue.
if they're accessing the visual all the time, and you can tell their body language is shrinking as they're accessing that picture, likely it's going to be very true. A good friend of mine is a barrister. She told me he studies the eyes of people she's defending, and the witnesses in the eyes often give away the truth or a lie. Yeah, they say the eyes are the key to the soul, aren't they? Philip, cross-eyed teacher can't control their pupils. Hey,
Boom.
thank you very
I
much.
haven't heard that one since the Dandy Christmas edition, 1961. Isn't it funny? I put up a post just in the last 3 minutes. I put up a post, I think it was last week. Sorry, I'm fading. The last week or whatever, about not living in the past, but constantly suddenly remembering things from the past and finding them very comforting. And I used to love those Christmas annuals of the Beano and the Dandy and the stuff like that. I couldn't wait. They were wrapped up, on Christmas Day. That was me made up. I'd tear open the wrapping and there'd be the annual. It was so fantastic. And many people.
Fizz. I used to love the Beano and the Dandy. I mean, Desperate Dan's cow pie with the horn sticking out of it. And the Beano was Dennis the Menace. He was the front page. I love Dennis the Menace and Nasha and Rasher the pig. Brilliant. But then But then as my taste grew and my sense of humour became dirtier, I still love Viz to this day. Viz is the most...
Viz was hilarious. I thought Viz was
Viz
hilarious.
is still hilarious, and there's people that have tried to mimic it and they've never succeeded. There was like Zit and Poot, nothing as good as Viz. There was one, but it was for the teenage market, so it wasn't like Filthy. It was like MC Crapper, the non-stop rapper, or the Blue Cross Code Man, or the Blue Cross Code Man, where everyone got run over because he was such an awful, Green Cross Code, Blue Cross Code Man, and it was teenage market, and that was the closest I've ever found to being as good as Viz.
Well, it's been a very interesting. I found it.
Okay, you can sod off, Paul.
Yeah, and that's on a good day.
I've got a lovely lady called Florence Ackery on the show on Wednesday.
Florence, and what does Florence Ackery do? What's she about?
Florence Ackery, I can tell you, does yoga and more, yoga retreats, a retreats addict and connoisseur, holistic well-being we're talking about on Wednesday.
Say that word again. What's that word?
A retreat connoisseur.
Oh, a retreat connoisseur. Oh, marvelous.
Shall we play out with a little song?
Go on, that would be lovely.
Checkers plays pop. No, this is Longie plays pop.
I waiting for the contract to arrive. There's one way that Greg's career can still survive. As an afternoon presenter at a place with similar views, doing knob gags with Farage on GB News.
Oh,
I won't do the last bit because it does use a very, very rude word.
And that's as close as we want to sail to the wind today. So, Neil, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you for everybody joining in from all over the world. Neil will be back with his retreat connoisseur.
Yeah, fancy. So see you on Wednesday. Great conversation today. I've really enjoyed interacting with everyone today.
Yes, great. Well, as I always say, our gang are the stars of the show. We're just merely here to facilitate it, so they can air their views, and they can't.
No, I'm the star. No, I'm the star.
Yeah, no, I go with that. Actually,
no, Larry Viner. Larry Viner's the star.
No, don't say. I'll never, ever hear the end of it. Please don't tell me he was the star of the show. Until Wednesday with Neil, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon.
Bye.
Take care.